Hey everyone, Once Bitten here with a battle report between my Beastmen and a Dark Elf army. First of all, this is the first of 4 games that I played in a 3-day period, so I'm very excited to have just a handful of battle reports to put up this week. This one was actually played in my home against a very themed Dark Elf army that I thought was very, very cool. So we rolled just a regular pitched battle. Let's see, starting on his left, he's got a unit of Harpies, Executioners, and he's got a Battle Standard Bearer in there. And I really don't remember what that BSB brought, but I will post in the comments section the build later on when I find that out. Anyway, he's got a Cauldron of Blood with a Death Hag, a unit of Warriors, and he has a level 4 Sorceress who's the General. She has a Sacrificial Dagger, the Stupid Pendant, Ward Save, and she brought the Lore of Metal, which I thought was a very interesting lore choice, especially, it isn't very helpful against a Beastman army. But it makes sense since a lot of his attacks are going to be at Strength 3, that if he plays some, Warriors or Bretonians or something with a lot of armor saves, that would be helpful. Anyway, he's got a horde of Witch Elves, crossbows, and then some fast cav. So I brought, in the lower left, just how this picture, I have a Razor Gore. And then the model on the far left, I'm actually just proxying that. I'm using it as a Cygore. No real reason why I brought it, just I wanted to try playing with it. I think I've only done that once before. I've got a Tuskgore Chariot, a horde of Gore with the Battle Standard Bearer. He's got the +1 Strength banner. He's extremely fragile. I mean, he's Toughness 5, but he only has a 4-up armor, and that's it. Then I've got a smaller unit of Gore with my Great Brave Shaman. He's got a 4-board and a scroll. He brought the Lore of Beasts. Another Tuskgore Chariot. On the far right of this picture, you can barely see it. There's a unit of, I believe, 24 Bestigore. And to the right of them is another Razor Gore and 6 Minotaurs. They're full command, and I think the champion has a sword of +1 to hit, sort of striking. So my opponent, oh, by the way, he also has an assassin. I don't know which unit that is at this point of the game. And he's has these shades that he deployed to my far left. Now, I knew when I deployed that I was leaving space for the shades there. I don't know why I didn't have my Razor Gore at least facing outward. Would have made sense. Don't know what I was thinking. I think when I put the Razor Gore there, I planned on putting the Cygore past him, and then I changed my mind. And this is on the far right of the table. I had a unit of Harpies. I had no idea what to use them for. He had no war machines that the Harpies were going to do any good against. So I put him over here thinking that I might be able to charge if I don't go first turn, get a charge in the flank, and if they're in the woods, my Harpies are gonna be steadfast or stubborn or whatever it's called for skirmishers being in the woods. So I didn't have a great plan for him, but just put him there just to see what would happen. Of course, then during the Vanguard movement, he took his fast scav, vanguarded them into the woods facing my Harpies, so he's gonna be able to shoot at them without any kind of penalty. So yeah, that was a lack of foresight on my part. So we go to Dark Elves turn 1. He moves up. Yeah, here's the far left. His shades move up just to start, shooting at me, being an annoyance in my flank. There's Dark Riders. Kill a couple Harpies. I fail my panic test, run right off the board. There's a great waste of a unit. And we go to Beastman turn 1. Otherwise, nothing of significance happened. I move up, as you can see. What I'm really hoping to do here, if you look at the far left, his Executioners, it looks to me, now that, by the way, is a hill, and on the hill is a piece of impassable terrain. It looks very similar to the hill, but there's a part in the middle that goes straight up, and that's like a Sigmarite shrine or something like that, and that's a charnel pit on the right-hand side, by the way. So anyway, the impassable terrain I thought was blocking his Executioners, and I thought that was an opportunity for me to be able to pick on his 2 middle units, and it might take him a little bit to get his Executioners to be able to come to this side of that impassable terrain. So my Cygore, he marched up so he wasn't able to shoot. I wasn't thinking of that when I moved him. But at the end, I was still okay with where he was. The impassable terrain was blocking him from the Executioners. They weren't able to charge him. And he just sees a bunch of flanks, and he can stand there and lob rocks. So I was okay with that. Here's a close-up in case you missed it. And a close-up of the right. So that's it at the end of the Beastman turn phase. The I got one spell off on the unit with my Great Brave Shaman, the smaller Gore unit. I think it's the +1 Strength and Toughness spell. I just wanted that unit to be a little scarier in case the Witch Elves came into them, which I actually would kind of like. Then if the Witch Elves can make that charge, I think I'll hold, and then I can get my Bestigor into the flank of the Witch Elves, and probably get my Tuskor Chariot in their front, and take care of that unit very easily. So I'm actually hoping that his Witch Elves and his warriors can make their charges. So we go to Dark Elf turn 2. He just moves the shades up so he can shoot at me. So he actually tried to charge his warriors and his executioners in there. He rolled high enough for both, but really there was just no way for those executioners. It was difficult for them to even get around the difficult terrain to begin with. But then certainly having to make that wheel and then touching my unit with the warriors, it just wasn't going to happen. So they had a failed charge there. Brought his harpies up to redirect my Cygor, so I couldn't come into the flank of his warrior unit. Here on the right hand side, his Witch Elves failed their charge, and so he then brought his Dark Riders up to mess with my guys a little bit. Now going into this fight, he gets the spell off that basically he gets +1 to wound. So I don't love that. Overall, I really like the matchup I have there. My guys are strength 4. Both of us have hatred. I have one better toughness. He'll have some kind of armor save. I mean, it's I like my odds there, but it's not looking. It's going to be bloody, I should say. Anyway, so his shooting phase crossbows killed a few of my Bestigor. His shades on the first turn only put 1 wound on my Razorgord. On this turn, he put 2 more wounds on it, killed it. My Tuskor Chariot failed its panic test and ran away from the nearest enemy unit. And after combat, it looked like that. I don't know what odds are, what should have happened, but I was fairly happy with the turnout. It seemed like we traded wounds. I'm obviously missing about 10 guys. I don't know how many he's missing, probably more than that. So overall, I do like it. One thing, that pendant, my Battle Standard Bearer is normally strength, I think 5. I'd have to look at the stats. But anyway, he's strength 5 or 6. And yeah, he can't get past the ward save on this sorceress. And she has the Crown of Command. I forgot to put that in the opening screen. So she's going to be stubborn. So anyway, we go to Beastmen turn 2. I rally my chariot on the left. If you look at my Cygor, I decided not to charge his harpies. I was just going to. My idea is I want to throw a stone on his Cauldron of Blood. It'll be strength 9, which has a chance of wounding it, and with these 6 wounds, that might be my best chance of getting that cauldron off the table. With the cauldron there, his executioners are stubborn. The Witch Elves are stubborn. I mean, it just causes some real problems. If you look on the right, I basically took all 4 units, both those infantry blocks, my chariot, and my Minotaurs, charged everything at the Witch Elves. First, I charged the Dark Riders, they fled, but I charged the Witch Elves mainly because I knew that some would fail it. And sure enough, my chariot and my Minotaurs failed the charge, but I still have 2 units in there. So my chariot rallies, I'm actually kind of okay with this. Either his shades really can't move out of my charge, so they've either got to waste a turn shooting at my chariot and hope to kill it, and then if they don't, they're going to get charged. And so I actually kind of liked how that turned out. Nice, just showing you my nice blurry pictures. Hey, there's a great picture. Sorry about that. It's just, yeah, I take a bunch of pictures. So now my Great Brave Shaman is in that Gore unit, and I don't love how fragile he is. And I'm thinking that Witch Elves, I wonder if they have poison. So yeah, he's very, very fragile there. But my plan is to turn him into a Mountain Chimera and just open up a big can of whoop-ass on the Witch Elves. Just because I've always wanted to do it. That spell never seems to work for me. I just love the idea of it. Plus, he would have 46 attacks, a breath attack, thunder stomp. I really, really like that. And it goes off. I was so thrilled. Now, it was irresistible force, so it took a wound and killed about 4 of my gore, but I was very happy with that. I know that's a dragon model, but trust me, that's a mountain chimera. And I was whooping and hollering, and at this point I didn't care if I won or lost the game because I finally got the damn spell off. And it's against Witch Elves. They're one of those, Dark Elf units I just really like to beat up if I can. So then, irony of all ironies, we go to my shooting phase. I target the Cauldron of Blood with my Cygor. I roll it. It scatters 10 inches directly at my Mountain Chimera. Lands right in the middle of it. Does 5 wounds. Now, luckily, the damn thing has 10 wounds, so I was okay, but now I'm definitely going to die. All he has to do in his magic phase is dispel that, and even though it took me 20 or whatever to get it, he only needs to roll a 16 to dispel it. And with a level 4, that's really not very difficult. So I know I'm going to lose my shaman, and I'm okay. I knew that going into it, but really, my own stone thrower scatters off and hits my guy on the one game I finally get it off. So anyway, after this combat, yeah, just tore them up. Now you notice I'm missing another 9 guys, so this was, this was pretty bloody. But yeah, overall, very happy with how that turned out. Now, what's kind of ironic, what happened here was I was worried about his executioners coming in, and yet I didn't reform because I could have reformed even 4 wide and just taken almost everything away from his executioners. As a matter of fact, I could have slid all the way down and just got it to where they really couldn't charge me, and I didn't consider it. So it ended up not mattering, but it amazes me in hindsight how I missed stuff like that. So anyway, his unit is almost destroyed. I had a couple more guys on the 3rd rank. They're out of the picture on the left. And so I learned a lesson, and that is when you remove models, you need to be very careful where you remove them. Because I was just pulling them off everywhere, and then when it was my turn to fight, there was 2 guys that couldn't fight because they weren't lined up over here. So I think I probably would have killed the rest of the unit. The problem is I can't get any wounds on his sorceress. She's just making all her ward saves. I think she might have certainly 1, maybe 2 wounds on her, but it feels like I've been just hitting her left and right, and she just keeps on making her saves. So after combat, it looks like this. I was actually somewhat disappointed with the Mountain Chimera. It got 46 attacks. I ended up doing 4 wounds with that. The breath weapon did pretty well. I don't know how many I killed, probably half a dozen. And then the Thunder Stomp, I rolled a 1. And those things are going to happen, but I was really kind of thinking I would kill more Witch Elves with that. Nevertheless, the Witch Elves obviously have taken a huge beating. My units have taken a beating, especially those Bestigor. I don't know if it's possible if I could reform to bring the Bestigors, line them up, and then shuffle my Gore unit over so that I could bring more models to the fight. Different people interpret that differently. Some people say, well, you can't reform the Bestigors because for that split second you're bringing models out of combat. And I just don't know how that works. But anyway, I didn't. I left them like that. It didn't come up during the game. I'm just thinking that now. So we get a Dark Elf turn 3, where I was expecting his executioners to charge my Gore unit. They didn't. They charged the flank of my smaller Gore unit, and I expected him to charge my Horde because I had more points there. He would have won that and would have killed that whole unit. I think he was trying to save his Witch Elves. And anyway, that's what he did. He had to charge his Harpies out of the way, so they charged my chariot at the bottom. Yeah, there we go. I'm not worried about his Harpies killing my chariot. I'm worried about him starting with static res 2 and my leadership not being that great. The die that says 3, that's the number of wounds left on my Mountain Chimera. So I took 5 wounds off of him. The Witch Elves took 2 wounds off of him. Executioners are going to come in and just tear through that unit. That is not going to be pretty. And his Dark Riders come up to mess with my Minotaurs. Yeah, during the magic phase, he dispels, so my Great Brave Shaman is gone. The Mountain Chimera is not there to help out anymore. Shooting kills a Minotaur. And shooting here puts 3 wounds on my Cygor, which I think he starts with 5, so now he's a lot more fragile. And then he wins the combat res, chases my chariot off the table. And then after combat, that's what it looks like, just ugly. If you look at the top right, the Witch Elves, there are only 4 of them left. They chase down my Bestigor, My Gore unit that started at 20 or 25 is down to 5 models. His executioners could not chase them down. I killed the rest of the unit of his warrior unit, but the damn sorceress has 2 wounds on her. She's Crown of Command. She's just sitting there. Now, if I could have killed her, I could have got a flank charge into the executioners, which probably would not. I don't know how good that would be. If the Cauldron was dead, that would be great, because they would not be stubborn, and I could probably beat them through combat res and maybe break them. If I don't break them and they reform, they're going to chew through my Gore unit at the bottom. So that would be a tough call. So anyway, go to Beastmen turn 3. So my thinking was, let's take the Cygor unit into the Cauldron of Blood. The thing's toughness 10 outside of combat. In combat, it only has 4 wounds, and this thing is somewhat killy, and it gets to reroll either to hit or to wound. I forget what his rules say. The Minotaurs go ahead and charge the Dark Riders. It looks like I'm clipping him, but he was so close to me, I wheeled as far as I could, and that's where we touched, and then I closed the gap, or closed the fence, or whatever the hell they call that, and that's how it lined up. Now hopefully I can beat him in combat, overrun, and get into the flank of the Witch Elves. Yeah, so the problem with my plan here is the Cauldron had so many attacks with poison that they took the remaining wounds off him before he had a chance to even know he was in combat. So that was a total epic fail. Yeah, that didn't work. And yeah, so there's the combat with the stupid sorceress. Yeah, Minotaurs easily beat the Dark Riders. Actually ran them down. They may have ran off the table because of the angle they were at, and I go into the flank of the Witch Elves. So we go to Dark Elf turn 4. His executioners, I think they charged the chariot. I fled, redirected to the Minotaurs, and they failed. So now if I can kill the sorceress, I'll be lined up for a rear charge with the executioners, which isn't quite as attractive as a flank charge, but it's there. Yeah, there's another look of the chariot fleeing. During his shooting phase, he took 3 wounds off the 4-wound chariot. Now over here, he popped his assassin. At this point, I forgot he had him because the Witch Elves were in combat for so long. He didn't want to pop him there because he wanted to use him to kill a character. Now he thought it would be a great time, and it was actually a great tactic because my Minotaurs, the only thing they could attack was the assassin. And so I killed him easily enough, but the unit's still there. So I killed the assassin, overran, and so I had a charge, a flank, and 2 wounds. He may have done 1 wound on me. Either way, the Witch Elf stuck, which I thought was a bummer. And over here, we finally killed the damn sorceress. So now, finally, he doesn't have a magic phase. Almost a little too late. So that's the end of Dark Elf turn 4, and at that point, we just had to call it. Because my opponent had to be somewhere. The game had taken longer than we thought it would. So we called it there. We didn't even bother adding up points. I conceded the game. I think he probably had more points easily. And even if he didn't, I don't know if it would have gone well for me. I mean, I could have charged into the rear of the executioners. If I got lucky, I might have won. But he would have been stubborn, 9, rerollable, would have reformed, and then would have chopped me to pieces. My Minotaurs were almost certainly going to whoop up on the Witch Elves. And then what are they going to do? They're going to, I guess, try to get in combat with his crossbows. So anyway, I don't know. You never know what could happen, but I really think he probably had the game. Which, whatever. But I can tell you, I had a huge epiphany this game. This, if you remember, was my deployment where I pretty much just threw my Harpies away because I didn't have a plan for them. And by the way, when I say that I don't know how to play Beastmen yet, it's because whenever I go to deploy, I don't have a real good sense of what it is I'm trying to accomplish. So this was apparent here at the Harpies. And then if you remember, when the board looked like this, and I was going to win the combat on the bottom, I likely was going to eventually kill off the Witch Elves on the right-hand side. So the only thing that really hugely swung the game was his executioners coming into the flank. And it occurred to me, why not just let my Harpies sit behind my line so that on turn 2 or 3, when you have situations like this arise, which they almost always do, then you fly your Harpies out. Just like he used his Harpies with my Cygor, I could have used my Harpies with his executioners just as a throwaway unit to keep them out of combat for another another turn, maybe two. So, and that would have made all the difference in the world. So, huge lesson learned. I was, that alone made me very happy in thinking about the game. Of now, I feel like I have a better sense of what I can do with harpies, and it made me like harpies more than even razor gore. So you're going to see in my next game, I bring 2 units of harpies and only 1 razor gore instead of vice versa. So anyway, like I said, that's how the game ended up. It was a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it.